This video is going to focus on factoring by doing a FOIL factor. FOIL factor means that you are unfoiling it. You're doing the reverse of foiling. What is special about polynomials that have to be FOIL factored is they'll always be 3 terms. So you're going to see a trinomial, which means 3 terms. When you go to FOIL factor, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that there's not a greatest common factor you can take out. I actually went through ones like this where you don't have anything you can take out. Then you want to go through and put your parentheses and decide what your signs are going to be. And the way we do that is we look at the signs within our trinomial. If this sign is a negative, that tells me that my signs are different. I have to have one positive and one negative because it's a positive times a negative that gives us a negative. The other thing I'm going to look at my first term. My first term is x squared. So if it's x squared, then that means this had to be an x and this had to be an x. Finally, I need to finish it off by looking at the last number with this 14 right here, and I want to write down my factors of 14. So factors of 14 are 1 and 14 or 2 and 7. Those are the only factors of 14. So sometimes you'll have longer lists. This one's pretty short. Finally, you want to figure out which pair works, and you want to make sure you put it in the right place so that when you check the foiling, you get the correct middle term. So this one is going to be the 2 and the 7. I'm going to have the 2 be positive and the 7 be negative. And the reason is when I check my outer and my inner of FOIL, my inner gives me 2x, my outer gives me negative 7x. When I combine those, I get negative 5x, and that's my middle term. Your middle term is really going to be the key to checking your work, seeing if when you take your outer and your inner, the O and the I from FOIL, if they combine to give you that middle term that was present. Second one is same level of difficulty. We're going to start off by putting our parentheses. This time, this sign is positive. When that sign is positive, it tells me that the signs must be the same. When I multiply 2 positives together, I get a positive, or when I multiply 2 negatives together, I get a positive. So then I can look over here and realize, well, the signs must be negative to give me that negative middle term. And I also know that this one is going to be an x and an x. Now I have 20. So my factors of 20 are 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. So slightly longer list than the one before that. Again, we are trying to find the right combination. Now the nice thing about this one is they're both negative. It's minus minus, so the location does not matter. We just have to decide if we're going to put in a 1 and a 20, a 2 and a 10, or a 4 and a 5 to get me the right middle term. The combination that works here is 2 and 10. The way I check it is I look at my inner, I get negative 2x. I look at my outer, I get negative 10x. When I combine those, I get negative 12x, which is my middle term. So all of these problems, you can check your work to make sure you not only found the right combination, but the right placement. The bottom two are kind of a step higher in difficulty. What's different about these, they're still FOIL factor, they're still 3 terms, but my first term, instead of being an x squared, it's a higher number. So we have a 2x squared, and then we have one that's an 8x squared. You still want to start by putting your parentheses and looking at your signs. Because this is a negative, that means that one has to be positive and one has to be negative. Now we're writing more factors. Now we have to figure out the only way to get 2 is 2 times 1, so I don't have much there. The ways to get 15 is 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Now it becomes a little bit more like a puzzle. You have to put the pieces in the right place, and you may not get it on the first try in order to get something that gives you the correct middle term. So you really have to work with these numbers and try to figure out what combination is going to work. Now the nice thing is that we know it's 2 times 1. We just have to decide if the 2 goes in front of the plus sign or if the 2 goes after or in front of the minus sign. So I would just start trying combinations here, and hopefully you're trying them on your own. You're coming up with the one that works. I will give you the correct answer. The correct answer is it ends up being a 2x plus 3 and an x, or 1x if you want, minus 5. And the way I know that this is the correct combination is I check my inner is 3x, my outer is negative 10x, and when I combine those, I get negative 7x, which is the middle term. So these definitely will have a situation where it's a little bit of trial and error. You try one combination, it didn't quite work. Try another combination. Until you exhaust all combinations, you can't say that it's not factorable. You only can say not factorable if you've tried every single way of putting it in and you still can't get that middle term. We've got one left. This one a little more challenging because we have larger numbers that have more factors. So we're going to start with our parentheses. This is a plus sign, so that means it tells me the signs are the same and they are both positive. So that makes it slightly easier. When everything's positive, they're a little easier to work with because you don't have to worry as much about placement. To get in 8, it's either 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. to get a 21, it's either 1 times 21 or 3 times 7. We've got a lot of combinations to try. You want to go through and keep trying until you come up with the one that works. You could try it now, pause it, give yourself a chance rather than just listening to me say the answer, and try some different things. I will go through and tell you what the combination was that did work. It is 4x plus 1 and a 2x, oh sorry, I'm on the wrong place, 4x plus 3, 4x plus 3 and a 2x plus 7. So 4x plus 3, 2x plus 7. So I went with the 4 and the 2 to get me the 8, and I went with the 3 and the 7 to get the 21. And again, my check is I'm going to multiply my inner together. That gives me 6x. Then I'm going to do my outer. That's 28x. When I combine those, I get 34x, which is this middle term. So having that check, and you really want to do that every time, especially when they get to be more complicated, go through that checking process to make sure that you came up with the right numbers in the right locations.